This is Viewpoint, a podcast by Cochran Real Estate.
Good afternoon. I'm Harriet Murray with Cochran Real Estate. I took a walk with a friend this morning in Malecon to see how things were going. It was actually quite pleasant. A lot of tourists, but not too many, and we were waiting to see some of the indigenous acrobats. And we enjoyed that, and most people were talking quietly about the subject, of course, the Sunday past, but not with fear in their voice or concern, and still enjoying their time here. So this is a small barometer just of trying to check in with what is going on right now. We had one OXO catty corner here that didn't get through the Sunday and was burnt. But across the next street, we have a very nice one that was in a very cement building and much more subdued. And it's working well right now, probably getting a lot of customers. So we have a demand and supply report that we prepared and worked on that was effective on the 20th. So now we're at the 27th. So 7 days have passed. So we took another report, the same report with this date, to see if there were significant differences. Certainly differences in 5 days is not something that's calculable. But we didn't see anything alarming on the supply and demand. We'll only know as time goes on. But most people seem comfortable right now where they are. And we hope that all of you feel safe. We have the report for you to look at with the numbers exactly as they came out. The previous report for supply and demand we ran, and I was talking about on the podcast, was from the 20th of January to 20th of February. And because of the time delay now, this one has slight changes in it, but this is from the 27th of January to the 27th of February. Of what volume we have in numbers of condos, houses, and land. This is a separate list for each that you will have to look at. And we have the first one, of course, current sales volume, which is over $1 billion, and gives you the amount of active condominiums on the market. The second part of the report shows you what sold for those months, the average price that sold, the average price and number, so you have a sense of what's going on. And the third one is very important because this is contracts that are backed up, waiting to go to closing, which will take a period of time of several weeks. So the backed up inventory of bona fide accepted sales in escrow, removal of contingencies, would be the third one. So that would give you an idea of how many more transactions we actually have. And then the rest is for you to use as you wish. But we are doing condos separately from houses and land. And we hope that it helps you, whatever you're seeking and trying to find out. We will be happy to talk to you about it if you want to call or write or WhatsApp or Facebook. My purpose is to try to give you tools and information so you're comfortable with what steps you're taking. And I hope you enjoy our report or you learn something from it. We have a market that is composed of 2 states on the west coast of Mexico, Nayarit and Jalisco. It's a big territory, and we have approximately 600 to 700 agents that work this market in the formal way. Of course, many people do not use agents, nor do they have training, but they are still able to work in that capacity. So our statistics are about only what we create, we report, and we do. But we're very proud of them because it is a more direct and true way to eliminate so much of supposition or what people think is happening in the market. We do create data. So that's important. So because these 2 states are very large and very different, we have to always keep in mind 2 things. One is that one has a different law from the other, and they have different practices from each other of how they sell real estate. And we are very fortunate to be able to be in organizations where we try to keep together on what we look for, what our contracts look like, how we report our supply and demand. We have plenty of product for you to look at, and our prices are about the same for a house as a condo if you have $500,000 to spend, so you can decide which property you would like, what type of property, and we could go from there. We have 3 times the amount of condos than we do houses. 60% of condos that are for sale are in the state of pre-construction in one stage or another before being finished. We do pre-construction homes too. Nayarit's particularly very good at that inside, say, Puerto Vallarta, Tigre, where the 2 golf courses are in a huge marina. They do pre-construction homes as builders start off, and many people buy in pre-construction and then would like to work with them on how they finish the properties for their own use. We still have a healthy 30% of the market in resales, and they're from all price ranges, and they're from condos and houses. When we consider supply and demand in Mexico in this market that we have, we are going to have to be aware that it is not based on the same factors as the U.S. These are cash prices for the most part. We don't operate on interest rates or mortgages. Buyers refinance and get the equity they have in properties in the States if that's possible for them. That's one way they would acquire it, or they sell their property. Or if that's not going to work for being able to buy here, they look very closely at the pre-construction market, which gives them a time frame to acquire money and make payments to the developer, so that after, say, 24, 26 months, the property is finished. Supply and demand is always influenced by the Americans and Canadians' economy and their confidence in themselves and their wanting to still come to another country and feel like they have the wherewithal to do it. In this point in time, the average house sale is close to the same as a condominium. It means the supply is being absorbed, and the people that have $500,000 have their choice of a house or a condo. We want to look at the supply and demand report here, which again applies to how we do sales and how we do marketing and what the results are. But we have enough product, and when we look at the demand of how many sell in a month, they might be a number that you would think was very low, but whatever it is what it is. The real number to look at it is under contract. Under contract has many more numbers than just selling in 1 month because of the process here. It can take a minimum of 60 days to actually have a sale. And for the most part, it's longer than that. So we work on a different rhythm, a different time frame. And so our numbers are going to look strange to you, but this is what it is. And this is what cash does in a market in North America, where you have the ability to come and have a home or a condo or build your own home. One of the main things that we need to look at now, because we're talking about supply and demand, is where the money comes from. And so the money comes from what the currencies, 3 currencies are doing, and whether we like it or not right now in Mexico, we're using 2 currencies and you can't get around it. So it is very hard to imagine how far money goes when we're talking about multiple currencies. So the only way we can show you what's happening, what's selling, is the supply and demand of what it shows, how many we close in a month, and what price range that is most prominent. That's where you get the story to say, well, is that 300,000 or is that 2 million? Last year, at the end of last year, you could sell anything in $400,000 and $500,000. Now that's a dead market, and the guys that have $2 million and wanting $2 million, they're functioning, they're coming down here. So that's how we find out who comes. That report tells us that. So the market is what it is, and it has opportunities. When you have this much variety in pre-construction and resales, and you still have 3,000 units, there should be something you would like. Thank you for today, listening to my viewpoint on supply and demand. I would be delighted to answer any of your questions. If you want to text me or call me, we can talk further, and then also talk about possible plans you have of wanting to move to Mexico.
This was Viewpoint, a podcast from Cochran Real Estate.